Good day, everyone. We're the Group 4, and our topic is Ideals and Philosophy of Rizal. Our team members are Alena Borja, Alona Borja, Pamela Daet, Queen Alinda Luampo, Apple Endaya, Erica Shalimar Gaurano, Ladyvic Lardizaval, Justin Lopez, Florin Morantal, Alan Rodriguez, and Patricia Vasquez. Our topics are nationalism, religious philosophy, political philosophy, ethical philosophy, social philosophy, and educational ideals and philosophy.
Good day to all of you. This is Alan Rodriguez, and we are going to study Rizal's view on nationalism. So, for the introduction, Rizal's family, friends, personal experiences, and travels had greatly influenced his view on nationalism. So, these are the following factors that affected his view on nationalism. So, for number one, the influence of his family. His mother is Teodora Alonso Rielonda y Quintos, was born on November 9, 1827 and died on August 16, 1911. Her mother had initially instilled him the value of education and religion that also significantly influenced his view in life, and he also considered her as the most pious woman of his town. His father's name is Francisco Engracio Alejandro Rizal Mercado. He was born on May 11, 1818 and died on January 5, 1898. And his father was hardly mentioned in his letters, but he calls his father as the model of fathers. And another factor is Rizal's relationship with other people. He never had so much friends, but he had Dr. Ferdinand Blumentritt as his closest friend. And Dr. Ferdinand has has also similar perspective on how the Philippines was treated by the colonizers. And he is also a friend who helped him run the newspaper La Solidaridad, and it talks about Filipino interests. And before Rizal died, he received a farewell from him. And we can see here how close they are to each other. Another factor that influenced his view on nationalism are basically women. And Rizal's respect for his mother and sisters and the love he had for them also influenced his writings on the nation. And, and an example of his writings is this. And, number one, Rizal's message to the young woman of Malolos. And this talks about national view of the Filipino woman. Another work is No Limitang, and talks about ideals for the perfect Filipino woman. Number three, Rizal on considering gender roles and other perspectives towards nationalism. And this is taken from both experiences of Filipino family and other foreign ideas. It, it is influenced by the women he met for the rest of his life, which were well educated and kind as well. And we all know that Rizal had met a lot of girls, and these girls were not just regular girls, they were well educated, they have the finesse, and they're kind as well, based on Rizal. And to him, women possess courage, goodness, humility, knowledge, and piety. And for those who don't know the word piety, it just have this sense of faithfulness. Number four, Rizal growing up in the latter half of 19th century. So he accepts worldview which are decidedly based by Europeans, supporting his view on nationalism. This time was considered as a time place where nationalistic spirit was being transferred between colonies including the Philippines. So these are the significant things that are related to nationalism in this time period. So an example is to my countrywoman, and this is about Rizal's and this is Rizal's nationalistic letter to show women's possession of courage, goodness, humility, knowledge, and piety. Another one is La Solidaridad, and this is a newspaper that talks about Filipino interests. No Limitangere. This is about Rizal's ideals for the perfect Filipino woman. And Ilustrados. This is a group that is consists of the enlightened ones who were the key figures in Filipino nationalism. They are mainly constituted by educated Filipinos. So for my conclusion, Rizal's life and writings are one of the key foundations in Filipino nationalism. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Apo Jane T. Andaya and I will be discussing the ideas and thoughts of Rizal about education. Rizal recognized the importance of education in the development of a nation and its people. The writings and various events on the life of Jose Rizal are filled of ideas concerning education. So he recognized the importance of education in the development of a nation and its people. Like for example, Crisostomo Ibarra, the main character or the principal character of his novel Noli Me Tangere, possesses a desire to establish a suitable school for Filipinos. So Ibarra mentioned in the novel what he considered is a modern school. So according to him, the building should be spacious and hygienic. The site should be large and provided with playground and garden. So Rizal himself dreamed of founding a school in accordance with the demands of modern times and circumstances. According to Austin Craig, Rizal ambitioned to make education accessible to all. So the teaching instinct that led him to act as mentor to the Filipino students in Spain and made him the inspiration of a mutual improvement club of his young countrymen in London suggested the foundation of a school in Paris. So later on, a Kapampangan youth offered him $40,000 with which to found a Filipino college in Hong Kong. So where many young countrymen from the Philippines had obtained an education better than their own land, could afford but not entirely adapted to their needs. So the scheme attracted Rizal, and a prospectus for such an institution, which was later found among his papers, not only proves how deeply he was interested, but reveals the fact that his idea of education were essentially like those carried out in the present public school course of instruction in the Philippines. Rizal preaches the need of education and said that ignorance is slavery. So Rizal also showed his support to the group of women in Malolos when their petition of establishing a school was denied by General Wheeler. He wrote a letter to the ladies in support to their courageous action. So Rizal preaches the need of education and said that ignorance is slavery, because Rizal always reminded his sisters the values and importance of education. Thus, when Josepa and Trinidad visited Rizal in Hong Kong, he encouraged the two to learn the English language. Perhaps Rizal's appreciation of education was influenced by his mother, Doña Chidora Alonso. His mother was considered his first teacher. At the age of 3, he learned the alphabet and also taught him to appreciate Spanish language. Rizal is not just a conventional type of teacher because his visions were not just for himself but for the benefits of his countrymen. So Rizal's method of teaching is different compared from other schools of his time. He saw it that learning should be adaptable to the needs or actual life of people. The effort of our present Department of Education and other learning institutions in curriculum development is in harmony with the ideas and vision of Rizal. So the government is also giving its full support and prioritizes the education of Filipinos. But we should also remember that the time and needs of the learners during Rizal's times is different to the learners of today. So there might be ideas or methods which are no longer needed in the present. But still we owe him for pioneering a technique in teaching. So our educators should also follow and be motivated by the exemplar deeds of Rizal. If he were living today, he would definitely continue his undertakings in molding the minds of youths. Ang kabataan ang pag-asa ng bayan. These were the words said by our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. So during his lifetime, he was devoted to the belief that what would make a country prosper are its own children. So his beliefs may have been caused by the great show of bravery and courage in the Filipino youth of his time. So he believed that the future will be better sooner or later because youth of the past have indeed grown up and become great people in our country. As the years goes by, a new generation of Filipinos has emerged.
Good day, everyone. I am Lady Vica Vanilor-Desabal and I am here to discuss the religious philosophy. Religious philosophy. Salvation was not only for Catholics. Salvation was not possible even if Catholic composed only a small minority of the world religious groups. Rizal grew up nurtured by a closely knit Catholic family. Was educated in the foremost Catholic schools of the periods in the elementary, secondary, and college levels. Logically, therefore, he could have been a propagator of strictly Catholic tradition. However, in later life, he developed a life philosophy of different nature. A philosophy of different Catholic practice intermingled with the use of truth and reason. Why the change? It could have been the result of contemporary contact, companionship, observation, research, and the possession of an independent spirit. Being a critical observer, a profound thinker, and a jealous reformer, Rizal did not agree with the prevailing Christian propagations of the faith by fire and sword. This is shown in his annotation of Morgas Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. That's why Rizal did not believe in a Catholic dogma that salvation was only for Catholics and that outside Christianity. Salvation was not possible even if Catholic composed only a small minority of the world's religious groups.
Hi, I'm Florilyn Marantal and I will also discuss some of Rizal's religious philosophy. Rizal does not believe in the Catholic observation of fasting as a sacrifice nor in the sale of such religious items as the cross, medals, rosaries, and the like in order to propagate the faith and raise church funds. He also lambasted the superstitious beliefs propagated by the priests in the church and in the schools. It only shows that Rizal has really taken hold of salvation as a free gift to everyone. This also shows that he opposes the Catholic teaching of money indulgence for the forgiveness of sins. Though Rizal was born from a closely knit Catholic family, he still fought for what is true. His religious philosophy approves a part of our Wesleyan beliefs, and that is a good thing that we should be happy about. Even though he has gone far in his attainments, he did not lose his humility and his faith to God. All of this and a lot more are evidences of Rizal's religious philosophy.
I'm Pamela Daet, together with Miss Quinarin Dalwampo. We are here to discuss the political philosophy of Rizal. Now let's have the political philosophy of Rizal. As a linguistic, Rizal wrote this: in order to govern people he does not know or understand, he ought to possess the talent of a genius and extraordinary knowledge. So it emphasized his political views that a conquered country like the Philippines should not be taken advantage of, but rather should be developed, civilized, educated, and trained in the science of self-government. In this situation, he used the basic political terms such as the political culture, political socialization, political ideology, nationalism, representative government, and democracy, to be able to successfully develop, civilize, educate, and train the Filipinos in the science of self-government. Rizal sought to seek a self-reliant, self-respecting government and a people's government made for people, by the people, and answerable by the people as well. Rizal, as a political philosopher, was known as an ilustrado who criticized Spanish government officials for failing to provide adequate services. So in his political philosophy, he bitterly assailed and criticized in publications the apparent backwardness of the Spanish rulers' method of governing the country, which resulted in the bondage and slavery of the conquered. We are all aware that people in the past had experienced the unpleasant physical treatment by the Spaniards. Next is the Spanish government's requirement of forced labor and forced military service upon the natives, and also the abuse of power by means of exploitation. Will the Spanish government fail to provide acceptable occupation to the employed? In this matter, Rizal wrote an essay entitled The Philippines a Century Hence, which contains predictions on the possible future of the Philippines within 100 years. One of these predictions is that the Philippines may be conquered by other nations after Spain's presence in the country is extinguished. So Rizal never stopped to have the country take its first steps toward independence. He also creates the basic government reforms such as the restoration of Filipino representation to the Spanish courts and freedom of the press, reorganization of the administrative machinery, adoption of comprehensive examination and the publication of its results, and allowing Filipinos to have same opportunity with the Spaniards to hold government office, and also justice is the foundation of society and government. So Rizal's concept of government is that an institution has a monopoly of the legitimate use of physical power, and an institution that can legally take people's properties by taxing them, imprisonment, and executing them.
4. The government ruling that any complaint against the authorities was criminal. Based on the previous report, during Rizal's time, several corrupt colonial officials came and abused their power. Filipinos also experienced injustice during those times, and one of this is that if someone complained about the government, specifically a Filipino, they will consider it as against the law. 5. Making the people ignorant, destitute, and fanatic, thus discouraging the formation of a national sentiment. They are avoiding that making the Filipinos aware on what is bad and what is good, because they just wanted them to follow them. They want to control them so they could do whatever they want. So this became the result. Rizal's guiding political philosophy proved to be the study and application of reforms, the extension of human rights, the training for self-government, and the arousing of a spirit of discontent over oppression, brutality, inhumanity, sensitiveness, and self-love. Rizal's political views sought to seek a self-reliant, self-respecting government and a people's government made for people, by the people, and answerable by the people. Since Rizal witnessed how unjustifiable and unfair the colonizer was, his political views picturing a government serving people with fairness without disadvantaging their power.
Hello everyone, I am Erica Shalimar Gorano and I am here to report the ethical philosophy of Dr. Jose Rizal. So, let us first define what is ethical philosophy. So, ethical philosophy is a branch of philosophy that involves systematizing, defending, recommending what is right and wrong behavior. So, during Jose Rizal's time, the Philippines was under the Spanish era, and the Spaniards and the Filipinos has different moral values. So this led to Dr. Jose Rizal to change his philosophy into moral problems. So to support Jose Rizal's ethical philosophy, he number one, censured the friars for abusing the advantage of their positions as the spiritual leaders. So, yon. During the time, the Spaniards or the priors who leads the religion abused their position, their power to make the Filipinos suffer. And number two, he counseled the Filipinos not to resent the defect attributed to them, but to accept same as reasonable and just. Number three, Jose Rizal also advised the masses that the object of the marriage is the happiness and love of the couple and not the financial gain. And number four, he also censured the priests who preach the greed and the wrong morality. And number five, so he advised everyone that the love and respect to the parents must always be observed. So we know that Jose Rizal loved his parents so much and he respected his parents. So that is why the government wants us to somehow get the ethical philosophy Jose Rizal is always teaching to everybody from before.
Good day, my name is Justine Gina Lopez and I'm going to discuss social philosophy. Social philosophy. The body of the knowledge relating to society, including the wisdom which man's experience in society has taught him social philosophy. And it is that philosophical study of interesting questions in social behavior. Social philosophy addresses a wide range of subjects from individual meaning to legitimacy law, from social contract to criteria from revolution, from function of every action to the effects of science and culture, from change in human demographics to a collective order of wasp nest. The facts that deal with our principles involved in nation building and not individual social problems. It is a normative science that involves the ideals of justice, develops arguments that justify political and social constitution, whether real or imagined. The subject matter of this social philosophy covers the problems of the whole race, with every problem having distinct solution to bolster the people's social knowledge. So, philosophic critic of social professor, the interaction within the social groups in terms of principles that underline social structure and function.
I am Patricia Macy Vasquez, and I will be continuing to discuss Dr. Jose Rizal's social philosophy. So the basic unit of society is the duties and devotion to the family. A woman has the greatest influence on both good and evil. Wealth brings conservatism.
wherein peace lies in the equitable distribution of wealth, and education is also wealth. The basis for social change is the consciousness of Filipinos about their dignity and rights that will result in social progress. So Dr. Jose Rizal emphasized that family is the basic unit of society. So it is one of his philosophies that parents need to be respected by their children. In addition, women's influence is much more influential than men. He made the idea of giving importance to women. Ladies must be respected individuals in society and need to be protected. From the experience of Rizal, there are social philosophies developed such as man in society, influential factors in human life, racial problems, social constant, social justice, social ideal, poverty and wealth, reforms, youth and greatness, history and progress, and the future of the Philippines. On the other hand, equal distribution of wealth brings peace to every individual, for it will not provide club mentality among Filipinos. In this case, having the same status makes the same treatment and emphasizes that education is also wealth. Lastly, recognition of own dignity and right is a help for Philippines to have social progress. Knowing our rights is knowing who we are in this country, and knowing that we are citizens of this country is knowing our rights as a Filipino.
Hi, I'm Alona U. Borja, and I will be discussing the first three educational philosophies of Rizal. Educational philosophies of Rizal. Rizal's concept of the importance of education is clearly enunciated in his work entitled Instruction, wherein he sought improvements in the schools and in the methods of teaching. He maintained that the backwardness of his country during the Spanish era was not due to the Filipinos' indifference, apathy, or indolence as claimed by the rulers, but to neglect of the Spanish authorities in the islands. The school is the base of society. The school is the book wherein is written the future of a people. This passage is an excerpt from Rizal's novel Noli Me Tangere. It exemplifies the distinct but crucial role of the school in our society. For him, it is a book where the future of a nation is written. Thus, it is of prime importance to build and fortify our schools to ensure success of nation building. So, what is the mission of education according to Rizal? So, for Rizal, the mission or aim of education is to elevate the country to the highest seat of glory and to develop the people's mentality. Education aims at the making of every citizen a professional man, but the real aim of education is not in quantity but in quality. Meaning to say that there must be quality education that will enable people to develop all of their attributes and skills to achieve their potential as human beings and members of the society.
Hi, my name is Elena Yuborja, and I will be discussing the last two educational philosophy of Dr. Jose Rizal.
So let's proceed to the next educational philosophy of Dr. Jose Rizal, which is through education, the country would be saved from domination. This philosophy of Dr. Jose Rizal implies the importance of education in our country. But let us first define what domination means. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, domination means to have control of or power over. Just like what happened during the Spanish times, where Filipinos are colonized and was under the governance of Spanish government, wherein the native populations were abused, given harsh labors, mistreated, and experienced other evils of Spain. However, Jose Rizal and other Filipino natives fought this through using their knowledge in writing that depicts the lives of Filipinos during the Spanish colonization. Dr. Jose Rizal firmly believed that education will be the instrument to achieve one's freedom. It is the most empowering force of the world because it creates knowledge, builds confidence, and breaks down barriers to opportunity. It allows us to better understand the world in which we live, and we become thoughtful about what happens around us. And because the native Filipinos were alarmed about what was happening around them during the Spanish time, they have decided to have a revolution to achieve the freedom that the Spaniards spared to them. The last educational philosophy centers on the provision of proper motivation in order to bolster the great social forces to make education a success, to create in the youth an innate desire to cultivate his intelligence and give him life eternal. This philosophy of Dr. Jose Rizal tells that motivation is needed in order for a man to be successful in education. Meaning to say that proper and good education is very important for all of us. It gives people the knowledge and skills they require. Also, education has a history of fostering positive social change by encouraging things like political participation, social equality, and environmental sustainability. Dr. Jose Rizal thinks of education as a key to success because it lessens the challenges we will face in life. The more knowledge we gain, the opportunities will open up to allow individuals to achieve better possibilities in career and personal growth. In conclusion, the education institution is not just an intellectual recreation, but a place of diversion.